AITA? My husband has been cheating with my mom. I never thought I would be living a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. My name is Sienna, I'm 28, and I've been married to Jay for 4 years. On the outside, everything about our life looked perfect. Friends envied us. Neighbors commented on how happy we seemed. Our apartment was cozy, carefully decorated, filled with plants and photographs of moments I had thought were ours alone. We laughed in pictures, posted cute captions online, shared dinners with friends, and appeared to have everything. But perfection, I would come to learn, is a mask, and mine was falling off in the worst, most impossible way. It started with small things, almost imperceptible. Jay, my husband, suddenly had more late meetings, though he never mentioned a client's name. He began disappearing at odd times. Sometimes he said he had to go run errands, sometimes he claimed work calls lasted long into the evening. At first I brushed it off. I tried to tell myself I was being paranoid. I had no reason to distrust him. He'd been kind, affectionate, and loving for years, but a pit of unease began to settle in my stomach, deep and gnawing, a sensation I couldn't ignore no matter how hard I tried. Then there was my mother, Elena. She had moved in after her divorce. At first it felt natural. Families help each other. She needed a place, a support system, and I wanted her close. But soon I began noticing tiny things that made my skin crawl. The way she lingered near Jay. The way she laughed at his jokes. Not the laughs that come from comfort or familial warmth, but the kind that draw the two of them into their own orbit, leaving me on the outside. Touches that felt deliberate, a hand brushing a shoulder a second too long, leaning in when she had no reason. At first, I tried to convince myself I was overthinking it, but the pit in my stomach grew deeper every time I saw them together, every time a small glance or touch sent shivers down my spine. Weeks passed and I started noticing patterns, subtle but persistent. Jay would disappear for errands when my mom was in the apartment, claiming he had to grab something from the store. He'd suddenly check his phone with his thumb hovering over the screen, moving it out of view when I entered the room. My mother's comments started to feel loaded. "Oh, I didn't know you two had plans tonight," she would say, a trace of knowing in her voice. Or she would linger in the kitchen or hallway when she didn't need to be there. And the glances were the worst. Quick, almost imperceptible when they thought I wasn't watching. But my gut noticed. Every time I caught even a flicker of their silent communication, a cold spike of fear ran through me. At first, I tried to dismiss it. I'm imagining things, I told myself. I just have a paranoid streak. But instinct, I learned, is usually right. My paranoia sharpened into vigilance. I began cataloging every small behavior. When Jay left the room, how he held his phone, how my mother positioned herself near him. Every small thing became a piece of a puzzle I couldn't yet see fully. My apartment, once a sanctuary, began to feel like a stage of tension. Each laugh, each whisper, each glance a signal I was desperate to decode. Sleep became impossible. My thoughts churned endlessly. I replayed old interactions, trying to spot signs I might have ignored. I began to feel like a detective in my own life, tracing timelines in my mind, memorizing movements, noting times, cataloging habits. Every detail seemed important, every omission suspicious. I would lie awake for hours, imagining things, trying to connect the dots, and each night I fell into a restless, exhausted stupor. Then came the first undeniable proof. I left work early one afternoon, driven by a gnawing feeling I couldn't ignore. The apartment was quiet. Jay's phone was on the counter. A notification flashed across the screen from a contact labeled simply E. "I can't wait to see you tonight." My stomach dropped. My hands shook. Time slowed. My first instinct was disbelief. Could it really be? Could this be real? My mind raced. I wanted to turn away to pretend I hadn't seen it. But I couldn't. My shaking fingers opened the message thread. And there it was. Texts, pictures, plans. Proof that Jay wasn't just cheating, he was seeing my mother. I felt my world tilt. My stomach lurched. My apartment, my home, the life I had trusted completely, felt alien. I couldn't scream. I couldn't cry. I couldn't even move. Then I heard her voice from the kitchen. Calm, casual, ordinary. My mother was talking to him in the other room, her voice soft and familiar. I wanted to throw something, scream, run, disappear. But I froze. I couldn't move. For days I did nothing outwardly. I observed. I documented. I mapped movements, traced patterns, replayed interactions in my mind endlessly. Paranoia became my constant companion, but it also brought clarity. I needed to know the full extent before acting. I almost caught them several times. I would return home unexpectedly, crouched in the living room, heart hammering, and witness subtle interactions between them. Jay sneaking into the bedroom, my mother lingering suspiciously in the hallway. My heart would pound, my chest constrict, but I forced myself to stay calm. I needed undeniable proof before confronting them. I began documenting everything obsessively. Screenshots of texts, notes on times, mental maps of movements. Each small observation reinforced the horrifying truth I was trying to deny. I barely slept. I barely ate. My apartment, once a sanctuary, had become a prison. Every creak, every shadow, every phone buzz reminded me of their betrayal. Every laugh, every glance I had ignored in the past cut like a knife now. Then I confronted Jay. One evening, my body trembling but my voice steady, I called him into the living room. I laid it all out, the messages, the photos, the timeline. His face went pale. He tried to deny it, to gaslight me, but the proof was overwhelming. Fear flickered in his eyes, but not remorse. Not a single shred. Then I turned to my mother. She cried, begged, tried to justify, tried to explain it as complicated. I didn't mean for it to happen. I was lonely. Jay understands me, she sobbed. I stared at her, letting the silence stretch, letting the weight of betrayal hang thick in the air. I realized, with a cold, gut-wrenching clarity, that some bonds, once broken this way, could never be repaired. I told them both to leave. Jay pleaded, tried to manipulate me, begged for forgiveness. I felt nothing. No love, no pity, only clarity. My mother reached for me, and I recoiled, horrified at the depth of their betrayal. I told them never to return. Days passed in a haze. Every creak, every notification, every small sound reminded me of them. Sleep remained impossible. I obsessed over what I could have missed, over what signs I ignored, desperately trying to make sense of a world that no longer made sense. Weeks later, they came back. My mother called me, crying, begging to explain, claiming she couldn't live with herself. Jay showed up too. My apartment, once my sanctuary, became a battlefield. I met them in the living room. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I laid it all bare. The months of deceit, the lies, the betrayal. I let them feel the weight of every emotion I had carried, and then I walked away. Slowly, deliberately, each step reclaimed a piece of myself. Every breath defied their betrayal. I opened the door and stepped into the cold night. Jay and my mother shouted, pleaded for me to turn back, but I didn't. The life I had known, the love I had trusted, the family I believed in, it was behind me. Burned in memory, yes, but I was alive. I wandered the streets for hours, letting the city swallow me. I felt empty, yes, but also fiercely free. I realized the betrayal, the pain, the horror, they didn't define me. They couldn't control me. I was reclaiming my life, piece by piece. Weeks later, I returned to the apartment, now secured with new locks and blocked numbers. I didn't feel joy, not yet, but I felt something else. Strength. Survival. A spark that no betrayal could extinguish. I began rebuilding slowly. I focused on myself, my friends, my work. I allowed myself to grieve, but I didn't let the betrayal consume me. Months later, I still think about them. The betrayal lingers, an echo in my mind. But I walk differently now. I trust myself. I see the world more clearly. I know who I am without the lies of others weighing me down. Reddit, AITA? Maybe some will say I overreacted, that marriages survive, that families forgive. But I know this, I did not betray anyone. I am the victim. I am the survivor. And as I step into a life built on my own choices, leaving the ruins behind, I finally understand. Endings are not just devastating. They can also be liberating. For the first time, I feel alive. And I know this. No matter the scars, I will never be the same. But I will be stronger than the people who tried to destroy me.